First question you have to ask yourself is what problem pissed you off so much you're going to build it? If your app disappeared tomorrow, what gap people feel in their lives? You can solve a problem, but how are you going to market to them? The audience right now is being pummeled with content. Just because you love what you're offering doesn't mean customer is going to love what you're offering. Fix my problem and give me the bill, and I hope I don't have to see you again. What category are you competing with? Are you competing with an individual person, a big box company? My value for my tax business is never to think about taxes again. If I create that value and that promise so that the creator, the sole proprietor, never have to worry about taxes again. Well, today I'm giving away everything. Here's my framework I used to start my app. Marketing is a very big portion of building any type of business. And if I was a new business owner, this is the framework I would start with before you launch your service or business. It's so important to find out who your customers are. And going through this exercise will show you who your ideal client is and how to market to it. The first question you have to ask yourself is what problem pissed you off so much you're going to build it? Are you in HVAC? Are you in plumbing? Are you in carpentry? What problem are you solving and who are you solving it for? That's the first question you got to ask yourself and you got to write it down. For example, for HVAC, are you solving a residential individual? Are you solving a residential family? Are you solving a residential condo? Those are all the things that you got to really think about of who you're marketing to and what problem you're solving for that person. Or are you solving a commercial problem? Completely different clientele person you have to market to. For example, for me, for taxes, am I solving corporations? Am I solving in Canada or specifically in Ontario? Am I solving for a family or whatever? All those different scenarios is what you got to think about and write down. In regards to all of those different visions and brand, there's other questions you got to then ask. If your app disappeared tomorrow, what gap would people feel in their lives? Start diving into what the feelings are for people if they use the app or if they don't. If the app was a person, what three objectives describes his personality? It gets you to think. It gets you to think about who your ideal client is and what feelings and emotions in order to market it properly to that person for them to buy your service. Yeah, you can solve a problem, but how are you going to market to them? That's key. The second thing you got to figure out is who's your audience? The audience right now is being pummeled with content, information about so many different things. Who's your audience? Is it a neighborhood? Is it a city? Is it a province? Who is it? And what are the best platforms to go after that person for? Is it direct marketing? Is it social media marketing? Is it paid marketing? Who is it and what do they do? For example, taking the HVAC example, is your clientele the family or the individual? Is your clientele the range of salary 60 to 80,000 or 80 to 120,000? Is it a new build or is it an old construction? Those are all the things that you got to think about. And that's what I did for Taxify. I figured out who my client was, what problem I'm solving, and then built my audience based on the problem I'm solving for who I'm going after. And my problem is solopreneurs and creators. And now I dive into those are my audience. And now how do I market to them? And then in regards to that, there's other questions you got to ask yourself, like beyond taxes, what do they care about in life? So creators love to create. They want to make money. The last thing they want to do is worry about taxes. They don't care about taxes. There's an avoidance factor in taxes because they're making money and they're spending all their time generating money. So knowing your customer, don't just add more information, more tax information to them. Get them off the app so that they can go make money. If you're in other industries, what is your customer? Just because you love what you're offering doesn't mean the customer is going to love what you're offering. Like plumbing, like HVAC. Maybe carpentry is a little different because you can design stuff. But if a plumber came into me, don't market anything but you're fixing a problem that I don't care about nor want to. If you start marketing to me about how pipes are manufactured and the flow of water in these new builds, I don't care. Fix my problem and give me the bill, and I hope I don't have to see you again. And that's like taxes. So know your customer and know your audience. What category are you competing with? Are you competing with an individual person, a big box company? Who's your competition? Write it down. Do research. Go on ChatGPT and ask who your competition is. People don't even know who their competitors are, which is mind boggling to me. I know my competitors are TurboTax, H&R Block, Accounts, DIY price spreadsheets. There's so many competitors. Who am I competing with? So if someone asks me why am I different than this person, I already know what's going on. I already know why I'm different. That's key so that you know your customer, your audience, and your competition so that you can figure out the problem to solve their pain point. What value do you have? My value for my tax business is never to think about taxes again. If I create that value and that promise so that the creator, the sole proprietor, never have to worry about taxes again, they'll use my app, and that's a problem I'm solving. If you're in HVAC and you have a furnace and you guarantee them 25 years, and that's your promise that there's nothing going to go wrong with that furnace for 25 years because you have a warranty and whatever, that's a promise you're making, and that's value to the customer to build trust. Those are the things you got to write down. So when you're meeting with the customer, you can add that in so that that trust builds referrals, and those referrals build a funnel of sales for the future. Brand voice and expression. When you're writing on social media, emails, my situation's a little different because I'm building an app. But if you're writing emails, the way you talk to clients, the way your employees talk to clients, the way you want to work with suppliers, find out exactly who you are and then make sure your values align with who you are. And that's your brand voice and expression. Are you an aggressive brand? Are you a passive brand? Are you an emotional brand? For example, vulnerability, I can't do online. So I'm not going to put myself in a very vulnerable situation where I'm talking about all the different sad tax scenarios that happen in this world. My brand voice is more confidence. I got you. Taxes will be done. I'm here to help you type of brand and expression. So that's the avenue I'm going. It's not I'm different than someone else. So you got to figure out who your brand is and who your expression is. And then you got to make sure your employees and suppliers and whoever represents that brand resemble the same expression and brand so that you build trust with your customer. Write that down, who you are. And then finally, which I'll break down in next week's episode, is the user journey and experience. This is huge. So once you have the first 5 questions laid out, which are your vision and your brand essence, your audience and your segments, your categories and your competition, your value promise, and your brand voice and expression. These are things that you can also go on ChatGPT and write, hey, I want to start a business. Give me 5 to 7 questions I have to ask myself before I market this business. This took me a month to do, going back and forth to see who I am as a business, what's the marketing material, and how I'm going to achieve that client. Yes, I knew I was going to solve the taxes for people. Who are those people? If I went after an Uber driver versus a creator, I'm solving the tax for the same type of person, but those messagings are completely different. If you're a HVAC person, solving for a landlord versus a residential household is completely different. You could be solving the same furnace, but how are you going to get the sale in the door? That's what this exercise does. So you got to really, really nail down who your customer is and go through that journey. And I guarantee you do something small like this, it will pay dividends in the future. So go do it.